Somewhere deep within you lies a kingdom, a sacred realm of brilliance, peace, and infinite possibility. It has always been there, quietly waiting for you to remember who you truly are. But as you moved through life, through pain, doubt, and comparison, that memory began to fade. You learned to shrink yourself, to fit into the expectations of others, to silence your truth in order to belong. Yet even in the quiet corners of your heart, the whisper never stopped calling. You were not meant to live in the shadows of limitation. You were born to reign. You were designed to rise. You came into this world with a divine inheritance, the power to create, to heal, to love, to transform reality itself through the energy you carry. But somewhere along the way, the crown slipped. And now, this is your reminder. The kingdom was never lost. It was only forgotten. The forgotten kingdom within you is not a metaphor. It is the very essence of your consciousness. It is that part of you untouched by fear, untouched by failure, untouched by the voices that said you were not enough. It is the realm where your truest self still stands tall, radiant, unbreakable. You may have buried it beneath years of disappointment, beneath stories that told you to settle for less, but the truth remains, nothing can erase who you were created to be. When you close your eyes and breathe deeply, when you silence the noise of the world and listen within, you can still feel it, the pulse of power, the rhythm of divinity beating inside your chest. That is your royal energy, waiting for you to rise and claim it once again. Every human being carries this same potential, yet most walk as if they are powerless. They've forgotten that they are the rulers of their inner world, not the victims of it. They've forgotten that their thoughts are commands, their emotions are signals, and their energy is currency. The forgotten kingdom is not outside of you. It is the state of mind where you remember that your reality begins and ends within. The moment you wake up to that truth, the walls of fear start to crumble and a new horizon appears before you. The world you see changes because the world within you changes first. The reason many never find this kingdom again is because they keep searching outward. They look for validation, success, or love to remind them of their worth. But no external crown can replace the inner one. True sovereignty is not given, it's remembered. And remembering begins with awareness. When you become aware that every limitation you've believed was self-imposed. When you realize that your current life is the reflection of your dominant thoughts, you take your first step toward the throne. Awareness is the key that unlocks the gates to your forgotten kingdom. Once you step through those gates, you begin to live with purpose instead of pain, with creation instead of reaction, with faith instead of fear. The kingdom within you operates by higher laws, laws of energy, intention, and alignment. When you think thoughts of lack, the gates close. When you think thoughts of abundance, the gates open wider. The universe mirrors your internal state. Every time you think, feel, and act as if you already possess the crown, your energy shifts to a higher frequency. That frequency is what attracts new circumstances, new opportunities, new people who align with your royal vibration. It's not magic, it's alignment. You were created to rule this inner domain with love and wisdom, not to be enslaved by the noise of the external world. Think of your mind as a vast castle. Some rooms are filled with light, others with shadows. Every belief you hold lights up one room and darkens another. To reclaim your kingdom, you must enter those shadowed rooms and bring awareness there. Look at the beliefs that have kept you small. Question them. Are they truth or are they echoes of someone else's fear? Every time you release an old belief, every time you forgive, every time you speak kindly to yourself, you restore another piece of your crown. And slowly, you begin to remember, you were never broken, you were never powerless. You were simply asleep to your own majesty. As you awaken, you begin to see the world differently. You notice that every challenge was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to awaken you. The pain, the rejections, the delays, they were not punishments. They were invitations. Invitations to turn inward and rediscover the realm that never left you. The deeper you go within, the more clearly you see that you are not a product of your past, you are the creator of your future. The more you align with your inner kingdom, the more peace surrounds you. And with that peace comes strength. With that strength comes clarity. And with that clarity comes power. The forgotten kingdom within you is calling again, not to remind you of what you've lost, but to awaken you to what has always been waiting inside you, unshaken, eternal royal. The energy of a queen is not loud, not restless, not desperate to prove her worth. It is calm, radiant, grounded in certainty. When a queen walks into a room, she doesn't need to announce her power. It is felt. It moves before her like an invisible wave of grace. She knows who she is, and that knowing becomes her greatest strength. True power never rushes, never competes, never doubts. It simply is. To embody the energy of a queen, you must rise above the noise of the world and tune into a deeper frequency, the frequency of presence, self-trust, and peace. That is where true royalty lives. This energy doesn't come from the crown on your head, it comes from the stillness within your soul. It's born when you finally stop seeking validation from others and begin to validate yourself. The world has taught you to chase approval, success, attention, love. But royal energy doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't beg, it invites. The difference lies in vibration. When you are aligned with confidence, certainty, and peace, you become magnetic. You draw to yourself the very things others spend their lives pursuing. That is the silent magic of sovereignty. It doesn't depend on force. It flows from alignment. A queen's energy is steady because it is anchored in truth, not in external circumstances. She knows that life will move in cycles, moments of rise, moments of rest, moments of loss, but her foundation remains unshaken. Her worth does not waver with the opinions of others. When people misunderstand her, she doesn't shrink. When others doubt her, she doesn't chase their approval. Her power comes from her connection to something eternal. She understands that confidence is not arrogance, it's the natural expression of self-awareness. When you know your own value, you no longer have to prove it. You simply live it. To embody that same energy, you must begin by mastering your emotions. The energy of a queen is not reactive, it is responsive. She doesn't allow anger or fear to dictate her actions. Instead, she observes, breathes, and decides from a place of clarity. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing what you feel. It's about understanding that your emotions are signals, not orders. When you feel anxiety, it's an invitation to ground yourself. When you feel jealousy, it's a reminder to realign with gratitude. Every emotion holds a message. And when you listen with awareness, you begin to rule your emotional world instead of being ruled by it. Royal energy is also deeply compassionate. A queen doesn't rise by diminishing others, she rises by lifting them. Her confidence doesn't come from comparison, but from contribution. She recognizes that power without empathy becomes control, and control without love leads to emptiness. So she chooses another way. She leads with love, she listens without judgment, she acts with integrity. This kind of strength doesn't dominate, it inspires. It turns chaos into calm, doubt into direction, pain into purpose. When you move through life with that kind of grace, you no longer need to demand respect. It is given freely because it is felt deeply. The energy of a queen also requires trust in herself, trust in divine timing, trust in the unfolding of life. There is a kind of peace that only comes when you no longer rush what's meant for you. The queen understands that everything arrives in perfect time, and what doesn't never belonged to her. She doesn't chase doors that are closing. She turns her gaze to the ones opening in silence. That patience, that calm certainty, is her strength. She knows that her worth is not defined by how quickly things happen, but by how gracefully she waits. The energy of a queen says, I am ready, but I am not desperate. That single sentence changes everything. It turns anxiety into power and waiting into preparation. When you begin to live with this kind of energy, you start noticing how differently the world responds to you. People sense your presence before you speak. Situations that once felt chaotic begin to unfold in your favor. Opportunities align effortlessly because your energy communicates a message: I am enough. That unspoken declaration reshapes the world around you. Life no longer feels like something happening to you, it begins to feel like something flowing through you. Royal energy is also quiet confidence in motion. It's the way you walk upright, grounded, graceful. It's the way you speak slowly, thoughtfully, with intention. It's the way you breathe deeply, knowing that each breath is a declaration of existence. The queen doesn't compete for attention because her presence already commands it. And this presence is cultivated through mindfulness, through awareness, through stillness. Every morning, when you wake up, before the noise of the day begins, sit in silence, breathe, remind yourself of your power. Feel it expand from within your chest, radiating outward. Let that be the energy you carry into your day, calm, confident, and certain. You do not need to earn your royal energy, you need to remember it. The calmness you seek is not somewhere out there, it's already within you, hidden beneath layers of fear, insecurity, and self-doubt. Peel those layers away by returning to truth. You are not your failures, not your mistakes, not the opinions of others. You are consciousness expressing itself through human form, and consciousness has no limits. When you remember this, your energy changes. You stop reacting to the world and begin creating it. You stop pleading for peace and begin embodying it. You stop waiting for permission and start walking as if the crown was never removed. This is the essence of a queen, steady, unshaken, radiant from within. She knows her power, but she wields it with grace. She moves with certainty, not because she controls the future, but because she trusts herself in every moment. Her calmness is her power. Her confidence is her magnetism. Her certainty is her crown. The mind is the throne room of your kingdom, but for too long, many have allowed it to be ruled by fear, habit, and limitation. You were never meant to be a servant to your own thoughts. You were meant to command them. Every belief, every assumption, every thought you repeat becomes a decree that shapes your reality. When you think small, you build walls around your potential. When you think boldly, those walls begin to dissolve. The mind can either imprison you or liberate you. It depends on who is in charge. Most people live as if their mind is the master, obeying every anxious thought, reacting to every old pattern, surrendering to the voice that says, you can't. But the moment you remember that you are the sovereign of your own consciousness, everything begins to shift. The power was never lost. It was simply given away to untrained thinking. Reprogramming the mind begins with awareness. You cannot change what you are not aware of. Start noticing the thoughts that run through your head each day. Observe how many of them are recycled from yesterday, how many are rooted in fear or lack. The mind loves repetition. It finds safety in the familiar, even when the familiar causes pain. It repeats the same emotional stories because it has been conditioned to do so. But you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. The moment you step back and observe your thoughts without judgment, you separate your true self from the noise of the mind. You rise above the chatter. That single step transforms you from servant to observer, and from observer to creator. Every belief you hold was once a thought you accepted as truth. To reclaim your sovereignty, you must begin to choose new thoughts consciously. Every time you say, I can't, I'm not enough, or maybe someday, you reinforce a reality that keeps your crown hidden. The mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It only knows what you repeatedly tell it. So, if you constantly feed it thoughts of failure or fear, it will design your outer world to match that vibration. But when you feed it vision, confidence, and gratitude, it begins to open new neural pathways that support your highest self. The brain is plastic, it rewires itself according to what you focus on. That is the miracle of reprogramming. You can literally rebuild your mind into the architecture of a queen. To reprogram the mind, you must train it like a loyal servant. You cannot expect mastery without discipline. Begin by giving your mind new orders each day. When you wake up, instead of repeating yesterday's worries, command your thoughts with intention. Say to yourself, today I walk in power. Today I attract peace. Today I reign over my energy. These are not empty affirmations, they are energetic commands. Each word carries frequency. Each statement sends a signal into the field of possibility. The more consistently you speak with authority, the more your subconscious begins to believe it. And once the subconscious believes, reality follows. But this process requires patience. The old programs will resist. They have been running for years, even decades. The mind will try to pull you back into familiar emotions, fear, guilt, self-doubt, because that's what it knows. In those moments, remember that you are not fighting the mind, you are retraining it. Speak to it gently but firmly, the way a queen speaks to a servant who has forgotten her place. You do not need to scold your mind, you need to guide it. Replace criticism with clarity, resistance with repetition. The mind learns through consistency, not conflict. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools for reprogramming. When you close your eyes and see yourself already living as your highest self, the brain fires the same neural circuits as if it were actually happening. The body begins to feel the emotions of that reality, and soon the subconscious mind accepts it as truth. This is how you ascend from servant to sovereign, by teaching your brain to experience the future before it arrives. When your mind believes it, your actions naturally align with it. The gap between desire and manifestation begins to close because you have already become the version of yourself who reigns. Emotional awareness is equally vital. Every emotion carries energy, and that energy programs the subconscious. When you dwell in anger or fear, you strengthen neural patterns of survival. When you cultivate gratitude, peace, and joy, you build patterns of abundance. The queen does not allow her emotions to command her decisions. She feels them, acknowledges them, but she does not obey them. She knows that emotions are information, not instructions. To rule your mind, you must learn to feel without reacting, to observe without identifying, to choose peace even when chaos surrounds you. Another aspect of reprogramming is releasing the stories that no longer serve you. The stories about what you can't do, what others said you'd never become, the memories that keep you tied to pain, those are the chains that keep you bound. The moment you stop repeating those stories, their power dissolves. You don't need to erase your past, you only need to stop worshiping it. Every time you revisit a painful memory and relive it emotionally, you reinforce the same neural pattern, but when you thank that memory for its lesson and release it with love, you free yourself to create something new. The queen does not sit upon the throne of yesterday. She reigns in the present, shaping the future with intention. Reprogramming the mind is an act of remembrance. You are not adding something new to yourself. You are removing everything false. You are clearing away the beliefs that were never yours, the fears that were borrowed, the limits that were taught. Beneath them all lies your natural state of power, your original frequency of sovereignty. When you train your mind to serve that truth, when your thoughts align with your purpose, when your emotions harmonize with your vision, you no longer live as the servant of circumstance. You rise as the sovereign of your own consciousness. The heart is the true throne of your being, the sacred center from which real power flows. While the mind calculates, the heart knows. It is the compass of your soul, guiding you not through logic, but through truth. The heart speaks a language beyond words, a frequency of energy that resonates with life itself. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't rush, it feels. When you begin to rule your life from the heart instead of the mind, you enter a new dimension of existence, a realm where peace replaces pressure, love replaces fear, and wisdom replaces confusion. The mind may build empires, but only the heart can sustain them with meaning. To reign from the throne of the heart is to live in alignment with the highest vibration of your being. The heart is not weak. It is not fragile. It is not something that needs to be protected. It is the source of your greatest strength. The world often teaches us to guard it, to close it off after pain, betrayal, or disappointment. But every time you close your heart, you dim your own light. The queen who rules from her heart knows that vulnerability is not weakness, it is courage. She understands that keeping her heart open allows divine energy to flow through her, to inspire, to heal, and to transform. The heart is not just a symbol of emotion, it is a generator of electromagnetic energy more powerful than the brain. It communicates with every cell in your body, shaping your frequency and influencing your external reality. When the heart is coherent, when it is aligned with peace, gratitude, and love, your entire being comes into harmony. To sit upon the throne of your heart, you must first silence the noise of the mind. The mind will always try to analyze, to predict, to control, but the heart asks only for surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means trusting the higher intelligence within you. It means listening to the quiet, knowing that always whispers what is right, even when logic disagrees. The heart never lies. It may lead you through discomfort, but it will never lead you astray. When you follow your heart, you walk the path of authenticity. Every decision made from love, even the difficult ones, expands your power. Every action rooted in compassion multiplies your strength. The throne of the heart is not a place of egoic control, it is a sanctuary of divine flow. The mind often serves the world of form, but the heart serves the world of spirit. The queen who leads from her heart is not guided by fear or ambition. She is guided by purpose. Her leadership is not about dominance, it is about alignment. She moves through the world with quiet certainty, making choices that uplift not only herself, but those around her. Her heart energy radiates peace, and that peace becomes her influence. People feel safe in her presence because her energy is grounded in love. She does not need to demand loyalty. It is freely given because her energy is pure. The throne of the heart does not command through force, it leads through frequency. When you begin to connect with your heart, you start to hear its wisdom in the stillness. It might guide you to slow down when the world is rushing. It might tell you to walk away from something that no longer nourishes your soul. It might urge you to forgive when your ego wants revenge. The heart speaks softly, but its voice carries truth that the mind cannot comprehend. Each time you choose to honor that voice, you strengthen your inner sovereignty. You build trust within yourself, and that trust becomes unshakable confidence. The heart never leads from fear, it leads from expansion. And expansion is the natural state of your spirit. To reign from the heart is also to love without attachment. It is to give freely, not because you need validation, but because love is your nature. When you love from the heart, you are not depleted, you are replenished. Love does not run out, it multiplies when it is shared. The queen who leads with love understands that everything she gives returns to her multiplied, for the universe mirrors the energy she sends out. Her generosity is not naive, it is wise. She knows that love is not blind, it sees clearly, but it chooses grace over judgment. She does not allow others to misuse her compassion, but she also refuses to harden her heart because of them. Her strength lies in her softness. Her power lies in her peace. The throne of the heart is also where forgiveness lives. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that bind you to the past. Every grudge you hold, every resentment you nurture is a weight that keeps you from rising. When you forgive, you reclaim your energy. You reclaim your crown. The heart knows that forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means learning and letting go. It means allowing the past to become wisdom instead of a wound. The moment you forgive, you create space for miracles. The heart's throne is also the seat of intuition. While the mind questions, the heart knows instantly. It feels the truth before words can explain it. When you are connected to your heart, your intuition sharpens, guiding you effortlessly toward what serves your highest good. The path ahead may not always be clear, but the heart will illuminate one step at a time. That is how the queen walks, not by seeing the entire road, but by trusting the next step. The more she listens, the more life aligns in harmony with her energy. The throne of the heart is the meeting point between humanity and divinity. It is where you stop striving and start flowing, where you stop resisting and start receiving. When you lead from the heart, your energy becomes a beacon. It draws to you experiences that match your vibration. The love you give returns as abundance, the peace you share returns as clarity, the compassion you express returns as fulfillment. Every heartbeat becomes a reminder that your power is not something to be earned. It is something to be felt, lived, and radiated from the core of who you are. To walk in royal energy is to move through life as if your crown is already upon your head, invisible yet undeniable. It is not something you wait to earn. It is something you choose to remember. Royal energy is not about external symbols. It is about inner alignment. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are and the calm grace that flows from living in truth. The energy of a queen is not a performance. It is an embodiment. It cannot be faked because it is not something you do. It is something you become. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every choice you make becomes an expression of that energy. To walk in royal energy is to allow your actions, emotions, and presence to reflect the divinity within you. Becoming the embodiment of royal energy begins with awareness. It begins when you stop identifying with the lesser version of yourself, the one shaped by fear, doubt, and judgment, and start identifying with the sovereign version who knows her worth. You no longer move through life waiting for permission or validation. You begin to understand that your energy dictates your experience. You realize that life is not responding to your effort, but to your vibration. When you hold yourself in the frequency of calm certainty, the world mirrors it back through opportunities, relationships, and outcomes that match your vibration. Royal energy doesn't chase, doesn't compete, doesn't prove, it simply is. It stands tall, radiates authenticity, and draws the right people and experiences naturally. To embody this energy, you must learn to carry yourself differently, not just physically, but energetically. The way you walk, breathe, and speak communicates your inner world. Royal energy walks with purpose, not haste. It speaks with intention, not reaction. It breathes in alignment with peace, not pressure. Every movement becomes a reflection of your internal balance. This doesn't mean you pretend to be perfect. It means you are conscious, deliberate, and aware. Even in moments of uncertainty, you hold yourself with grace. You remind yourself that no challenge can take away what is inherently yours: your power, your dignity, your inner peace. Royal energy is not dependent on circumstance. It is rooted in self-trust. When you trust yourself, you stop seeking control over everything around you. You realize that true power is not about dominating life, but harmonizing with it. You begin to move in rhythm with divine timing. The queen knows that every delay is protection, every redirection is guidance, and every challenge is an initiation. She does not resist what comes, she responds with wisdom. Her composure in chaos is her crown. Her patience in uncertainty is her strength. To walk in royal energy is to understand that everything unfolds exactly as it should, even when the mind cannot yet see the reason. Another aspect of embodiment is the alignment between words, thoughts, and actions. You cannot claim to hold royal energy while speaking words of lack or doubt. You cannot declare power while secretly feeding on fear. Royal energy is coherence. It is when your thoughts support your truth, your words express your wisdom, and your actions honor your worth. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your energy. Each time you choose peace over drama, you elevate your vibration. Each time you walk away from what no longer resonates, you polish the crown that no one else can see but everyone can feel. Embodiment also means mastering presence. The queen does not dwell in the past or rush into the future. She reigns in the present moment. Presence is where power lives. When you are fully present, your energy expands. You become magnetic. People feel drawn to your calmness because your energy reminds them of what they have forgotten, the stillness within themselves. Walking in royal energy is about embodying that stillness wherever you go. You don't need to speak to be noticed. Your energy does the speaking. You don't need to force outcomes. Your frequency does the attracting. Presence is your superpower, and stillness is your strength. To embody royal energy is to radiate self respect. You no longer tolerate what diminishes you, not because of pride, but because of alignment. You understand that your energy is sacred, and you protect it with boundaries rooted in love. The queen does not beg to be valued, she values herself, and she does not lower her standards to be accepted. She rises, and those meant for her rise with her. Every decision becomes a declaration of worth. Every no spoken from peace becomes a step closer to freedom. Walking in royal energy means carrying yourself as someone who knows that her time, her emotions, and her presence are treasures not to be wasted, but to be shared with intention. When you walk in royal energy, you also walk in gratitude. Gratitude amplifies your frequency and turns ordinary moments into sacred ones. The queen doesn't wait for grand miracles to feel thankful. She recognizes the beauty in simplicity. She is grateful for breath, for light, for lessons, for love. Her gratitude expands her energy and keeps her heart open. It reminds her that abundance is not something to chase, but something to feel. When you live in that vibration, life gives you more reasons to be thankful. Walking in royal energy is a daily practice. It's the way you carry your thoughts when no one is watching. It's how you speak to yourself in moments of doubt. It's how you respond when life tests your patience. It's not about perfection, it's about awareness. Every day you have a choice to rise in your royal energy or to shrink into the illusion of powerlessness. And every time you choose to stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with intention, you strengthen that energy. You begin to embody it so fully that it no longer feels like something you are doing. It becomes who you are. The queen within you does not need to prove, perform, or pursue. She simply exists, radiating strength through silence, grace through presence, and confidence through alignment. You were never meant to crawl through life questioning your worth or dimming your light for the comfort of others. You were born to reign not over people, but over your energy, your emotions, and your destiny. Every moment of doubt, every setback, every heartbreak was not meant to break you, but to awaken you. Life has been preparing you for this exact realization that everything you've ever sought has always been within you. The crown you've been waiting to wear has been resting in your energy all along, waiting for you to remember who you are. The journey of stepping into your royal energy is not about arrogance or superiority. It is about remembrance and mastery. It is the awakening of your divine potential, the reclaiming of your inner throne, and the realization that you are the co-creator of your life. When you understand that your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs shape your world, you no longer live as a victim of circumstance, you rise as the architect of your reality. You were born with power flowing through your very being, but conditioning, fear, and self-doubt have veiled it. Now you have the choice to lift that veil, to think as the queen thinks, calmly, clearly, compassionately, to act as the queen acts with intention, wisdom, and self-respect, to speak as the queen speaks with purpose and truth. Every step you take from this point on can either reaffirm your sovereignty or deny it. The power has always been yours. Your reign begins when you stop running from yourself and start ruling from within. You reign when you choose peace over chaos, authenticity over approval, love over fear. You reign when you stop waiting for the world to validate your value and start embodying the energy of someone who knows she already is valuable. You reign when you decide that your presence is power, your silence is strength, and your heart is the truest compass you'll ever need. This is not the time to shrink. It is the time to rise, to walk, to breathe, to speak like the queen you were born to be. Your royal energy is not a dream to be achieved. It is a frequency to be remembered. You were not sent here to live small. You were born to stand tall, to radiate light, and to lead by example, not through force, but through presence. The moment you align your mind with your divine identity, the world around you begins to rearrange itself in your favor. Step into your royal energy, wear your invisible crown, rule your life with grace, wisdom, and faith. The throne has always been waiting for you to return, not in the outer world, but within the sacred kingdom of your own soul.